mafia, chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. Bitch, I'm always at the guala, yeah, and you are not badass beat. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, number drop it low. Mama called me and she
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is NOOR SYUHADA BINTI SAINEY, and I will start with ways on how to determine the optimal capital structure. Before that, let's briefly talk on capital structure. A capital structure can be defined as a combination of debt and equity to finance its overall operation and growth. It can be classified into two types: equity and debt capital. Debt capital is a money borrowed and utilized in company capital structure. Meanwhile, equity capital has two sources, which are money that has been invested and retained earnings. Therefore, a firm's capital structure may help management to learn more on the firm's financial position and design strategy for future. Management in the firm may determine the capital structure in variety of ways. Firstly, by reducing the cost of capital. The lower the cost of capital will bring a maximum value for the company revenue. The cost of debt is less expensive and less risky than equity. Secondly, increase the level of leverage. Another way to increase the level of leverage or bond is by repurchase outstanding share, which means that the company is buying back their share from the investor and paying for the share, which represents an outflow from the company. Next, to make the structure simple as possible. The easier it is, the better for them to organize and understand the structure. A complex and complicated type of capital structure will create confusion and misunderstanding. Lastly, in order to complete the objective of optimal capital structure, the firm should risk fund with fixed cost if the return on investment is better than the fixed cost of fund. This is because it will raise EPS as well as the company market value. As the result, a firm should use leverage to the maximum level as possible. An optimal point of capital structure. As the higher the cost of debt, it will carry to the higher financial risk to the shareholder. The approach of lowering the WACC will help in determine an optimal point by calculating the debt to equity ratio, which will lower WACC and raise the market price, as it will optimize the lowest net cost of financing and minimizing the sense of insolvency. The optimal capital structure breakpoint is determined when the proportional debt return is equivalent to the proportionate debt cost. There are two theories involving in the finding the optimal point of capital structure, which are the Modigliani-Miller theory (MNM) and the static theory of capital structure. The optimal capital structure is when there is a balance between the extra gain from the leverage and the additional financial cost. We will continue with our next presenter.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is NABILA. As you can see on the screen, my topic is factors that affect capital structure and capital structure decisions. Firstly, factors that affect capital structure and capital structure decisions is flexibility in financing planning. A well-structured capital structure allows for increasing or decreasing debt in response to changing market conditions. There should be both contractions and reduction in an enterprise's capital structure. Flexibility is the most significant issue when it comes to raising financing. The debt can be created and repaid as when the necessary finances are available. When a company raises money through equity shares, it cannot usually be lowered without the alterations of a court and a slew of legal requirements. As a result, the corporation needs to issue debentures and other loans in order to achieve the desired capital structure. Next is business risk. Business risk is one of the essential factors in financing analysis according to conventional wisdom. A company with a high degree of business risk prefers to keep its debt level low since its earnings are more volatile. Having a lower degree of risk in the business means that a company can have a bigger debt component in its capital structure. Decreased capital structure debt is therefore preferable because of the increased business risk. As a result, the corporation will rely less on debt and more internal financing. There should be a negative correlation between two measures of financing leverage in the company. Lastly is growth rate. Capital structure is influenced by the company's growth pace. Companies that are expanding will need to take on greater debt in order to raise the money they need to do so. According to the pecking order theory, the pace of growth and financial leverage have a positive connection. Growth-oriented businesses will choose a higher level of debt in their capital structure since their profitability provides them with a buffer against debt costs. The firm will prefer low capital structure debt and more internal finance if growth chances are less. If the company's growth prospects improve, it will choose lower leverage and more earnings cap inside the company. That's all from me. Thank you.
My name is NOORAINA FATIHAH BINTI Abu Bakar. I will tell you about financial distress. The definition of financial distress is a situation where a firm's operating cash flows are not sufficient to satisfy current obligation and the firm is forced to take corrective action. It also leads a firm to default on a contract and it may involve financial restructuring between the firm, its creditors, and its equity investors. If the company still does not take the appropriate measures to strengthen their profitability or does not manage well its issue correctly, it will lead to bankruptcy. Furthermore, financial distress can be seen where warning signs may point to a company that is financially unhealthy. A business cannot sustain itself from internal funds and needs extra funds from external sources is the first signs of financial distress. Other than that, poor quality of the products or services, it is the warning signs that the consumer is changing mind to move to the competitors, that forcing the business to close its doors. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad IMAN YUSNI, and for today I will be presenting for the tax effects and financial cost distress. In the context of corporate taxations, MOHD Miller explained that leverage will increase the firm's worth. The theory of MOHD Miller does not accurately anticipate company behavior in the real world. It was hypothesized that bankruptcy and accompanying expenditures lowered the leverage firm worth. The worth of the firm improved linearly when the firm transitioned from all equity to a smaller source of debt, which can be combined. This is because the current value of distress cost is negligible due to the low chances of distress. Furthermore, analysts and specialists have long believed that the one cost of bankruptcy might reduce a company's total value. According to their viewpoint and study findings, a company worth rises when it moves away from equity toward a debt. Due to the current value of the lowest distress cost, the chance of distress is low in this case. As a result, every little increase in debt value raises the present value of these expenses. It will eventually match the growth in the present value of the tax shield. In addition, calculating the value of the interest tax shield would be easy. This, however, is only part of the narrative. If investors pay greater tax on interest income than on equity income, as a result, the tax benefits of corporate borrowing have been decreased due to the lower dividends and capital gain tax rates. In a nutshell, the trade-off hypothesis is a theory that combines tax effects and the cost of financial distress. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is NOOR BINTI ZAIDI. I'm here today to talk about an agency cost of equity. First thing first, the principal-agent relationship is an agreement between two parties in which the principal legally appoints the agents to act on his behalf. Therefore, the agency cost, known as the cost incurred by the firm due to the conflict of interest between shareholder and management, since it has a separation of ownership and control. It can be seen when the management decisions might not be the best interest, whereby manager actions not benefit to the shareholder. In this simple situation that can easy to understand, the shareholder wants the manager make decision in maximize the shareholder wealth. Meanwhile, the manager objective is to expand their business that could increase their salary, which not necessarily for them to increase the share value. And this is how the agency cost of equity happens today. Agency cost of equity involving with direct and indirect costs. Direct costs divided by two forms. Firstly, the shareholder need to bear the cost of corporate expenditure such as purchasing luxurious and unnecessary corporate jet as a transportation or expensive hotel for the manager business trips that could be increasing the company operating costs. Second type of the direct agency cost is expenses incurred when the firm need to monitor the performance of management actions, such as by paying external auditor to ensure the authenticity of the company financial statement. Furthermore, indirect agency costs represent the loss opportunity. It can be seen if the shareholder wants to run any project to raise their stock value. However, shareholder will lose this valuable opportunity if management refuses to take on this project. There is some way of reducing agency costs by implements and incentive compensations. When the organization wants to maximize firm value, the management team will be given a financial bonus that could motivate them to perform the best interests of the company. Financial incentive can be implemented such as stock options, restricted stock, and performance share. The use of monitoring technique in the organization can help to minimize the agency costs. Budgeting and having a proper accounting procedure can be used to control or eliminate unneeded expenses such as luxurious transportation or hotel for the management's business trip. At the end of this topic, it can be concluded that agency costs definitely cannot fully or completely eliminate. The incentive and monitoring technique are actually leads to agency costs because companies still need some additional expenses. However, if the organization are able to implement this technique in effective way, it would be minimize the cost, comparing allowing management to act in their own best interest, which definitely resulting in the higher cost.
And now I am NABILA binti MUHAMMAD RUSHDI will talk about the pecking order theory. The pecking order theory, commonly known as the pecking order model, is concerned with the capital structure of corporation. The theory, developed by Stuart Mice and Nicholas Magellan in 1984, asserts that manager assess financial sources in hierarchy. According to the pecking order theory, managers choose the following form of funding for investment opportunities, which is first, retained earning as an internal financing, then debt, and last, equity financing as a last choice. According to the pecking order theory, a corporation should seek to finance itself internally first using retained earning. If this sources of funding is unavailable, a corporation should consider borrowing money. Finally, and as a last resort, a business should fund itself by issuing new stock. Internal finance is the preferred method in pecking order theory because it incurs no additional cost. There is no cost of debt or cost of equity to account for if a corporation finances entirely with retained earnings. Due to the obvious interest payment connected with deploying borrow capital, debt financing comes in second. whether the corporation take up business loan or issuing corporate bond, it will have to pay interest, which will rise the cost of debt above the non-existent cost of using retained earning. Considering equity finance is the most expensive financing option, it comes last in the pecking order theory. The price of equity capital, such as stock share, is higher than the price of debt finance. The principle of asymmetric information gives rise to pecking order theory. When one party has more better information than other, asymmetric information also known as information failure arise, resulting in an imbalance of transaction power. Finally, this ranking is significant because it informs the public about the company performance. When a firm finances itself internally, it is a powerful corporation. If a corporation finances itself with debt, it means manager feels confident in the company ability to make its monthly obligation. When a corporation finances itself by issuing additional share, it's usually a bad indicator since the company believes its stock is overvalued and want to earn more money before the price drop. That's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hariz Eimran bin Muhammad ZANUDIN, and I would like to present signaling hypothesis. When both managers and stockholders have the same information, this is referred to as a signaling theory, as systematic information. In practice, managers are more knowledgeable than shareholders or investors. Asymmetric information. The capital structure of the firm is optimized so that the marginal subsidy to debt matches to the marginal cost. Not only that, the pecking order theory is the result of asymmetric information. There are a variety of reasons why a company's executives are hesitant to issue stock when the price is too low. Furthermore, they attempt to time the concerns when the stock price is excessively high or excessively low. This will be interpreted by investors as bad news, resulting in a signaling hypothesis, which is a negative signal. As a result, announcing a stock issue usually results in a drop in the value of the shares. A good indicator, on the other hand, would be the company's declaration of an increased regular dividend. Lastly, when investors see management's strength in future income as a sign of the company's capacity to match expectations, stock prices rises. However, this is only achievable if managers have access to more data in the first place. Thank you.